Have you felt more tired than usual lately? Like climbing stairs takes more effort than it used to? Maybe your heart starts racing when you're just sitting still. You might tell yourself it's just aging, just another day of getting older. But what if your heart is trying to tell you something? What if that shortness of breath, that chest pressure, that sense of fatigue isn't normal at all? You see, after age 60, our heart doesn't just age. It gets quieter and sometimes we miss its silent warnings. And by the time those warnings turn into real danger, it might already be too late. But here's the hopeful truth. Science now shows there are natural, powerful ways to protect your heart and even add 10 to 15 more years of strong, steady beats. These aren't miracle cures or trendy supplements. These are real, evidence-backed vitamins that some cardiologists quietly take themselves, but never talk about in the exam room. Today, we're going to walk through the 8 vitamins that could be the turning point for your heart health. Vitamins that can lower your risk of heart attack, smooth out your heartbeat, and give your heart the strength it deserves. If you're someone who cares about living with energy and independence in your later years, this message is for you. So stay with me, because the last vitamin on this list might be the one thing your heart has been missing for decades. And if you find this helpful, I'd be honored if you follow this channel. Here, we talk about real heart health for real seniors. No fluff, no scare tactics, just facts, tools, and encouragement. Let's take care of your heart together. Now let's begin with the very first vitamin, one that's probably sitting in your kitchen right now, but you've never seen it this way before. Vitamin C, the simple shield that could save your heart. Let's start with something familiar. Vitamin C. Most people think of it as the cold and flu vitamin. You catch a sniffle, you drink orange juice. That's how we've been taught to see it. But what if I told you that vitamin C might be one of the most powerful protectors your heart has, and most of us are barely getting enough? You see, every single day your arteries face damage, from stress, from pollution, from sugar and processed foods. Tiny molecules called free radicals are constantly attacking the walls of your blood vessels, weakening them, making them stiff, setting the stage for heart disease. But vitamin C acts like a shield, a real biological shield that blocks that damage before it takes hold. And that's not just theory. Researchers at Harvard found that older adults with healthy levels of vitamin C had a 42% lower risk of developing heart disease. That's not a small number, that's a major shift in your future. And the reason is simple. Vitamin C helps rebuild the very structure of your arteries. It helps your body make collagen, the protein that keeps your arteries flexible and strong, just like it keeps your skin from sagging. It does something else too. It gently lowers your blood pressure, naturally. In one study with over 2,000 older adults, those who took around 1,200 milligrams of vitamin C a day had lower blood pressure without needing to change anything else. Now, can you get some vitamin C from fruits and vegetables? Absolutely. Red bell peppers, guava, even acerola cherries are loaded with it. But here's the truth. To get the amount shown to protect your heart, you'd need more than just a salad. That's why many heart health experts recommend a slow-release vitamin C supplement, ideally between 800 and 1,500 milligrams per day. It's best taken after a meal to avoid any stomach discomfort. What's most surprising is that such a simple nutrient could make such a powerful difference. But your heart needs more than just protection. It needs energy. And that brings us to the next vitamin, one that fuels your heart like premium gas fuels a car engine. Let's talk about CoQ10. CoQ10, the fuel your aging heart has been begging for now. That your heart has a shield, it needs fuel, real fuel. Imagine your heart like a high-performance engine. It never stops. It doesn't take breaks. It beats around 100,000 times a day, every single day, even while you sleep. But just like any engine, it needs the right fuel to run smoothly. And that fuel is CoQ10. CoQ10, or coenzyme Q10, is a natural compound that your body makes on its own. But here's the problem. After age 40, your natural levels start dropping fast. By the time you hit 60, your body may only be making half of what your heart needs. That drop in energy can show up as constant fatigue, brain fog, shortness of breath, or that feeling that your body just doesn't recover the way it used to. And if you're taking a statin medication for cholesterol, like many seniors are, the situation gets worse. Statins may protect your heart in one way, but they also strip away up to 70% of your CoQ10. That's why so many people on these meds feel drained and sore. Their heart, quite literally, is running on empty. But here's the hopeful part. Studies have shown that by supplementing with CoQ10, especially the active form called ubiquinol, heart function can improve dramatically in as little as 4 weeks. In one clinical trial, heart failure patients who took 300 milligrams a day could walk farther, breathe easier, and felt more energized. CoQ10 doesn't just help your heart pump blood. It helps every single cell in your heart create the energy it needs to keep going. That's why so many cardiologists take it themselves and give it to their own parents. If you're considering it, look for ubiquinol, not the older form ubiquinone. Ubiquinol is much easier to absorb, especially for people over 60. The recommended dose usually falls between 100 and 300 milligrams per day, and always take it with a meal that contains some fat, because that helps your body use it properly. The idea that something as small as a nutrient could restore your energy might sound too good to be true, but the research is solid and the results are real. Now let's move to another powerhouse, one that doesn't just fuel your heart, but protects it from the damage cholesterol can cause. It's time to talk about vitamin E. Vitamin E, the bodyguard that keeps your arteries safe. Now that your heart has the energy it needs to keep beating strong, it's time to protect the roads it travels on, your arteries. Think of your arteries as smooth, flexible highways that carry life to every part of your body. But over time, those roads can become narrow and rough, clogged with sticky cholesterol and hardened by inflammation. And that's where vitamin E steps in. Not as a miracle, but as a quiet bodyguard working 24 hours a day to keep your arteries safe. You may have heard of LDL cholesterol, what they call the bad kind. But here's something most people don't know. Cholesterol itself isn't always the villain. It only becomes dangerous when it gets oxidized, damaged by free radicals just like rust eating away at metal. Once that happens, it sticks to the walls of your arteries, forms plaques, and increases the risk of heart attack. Vitamin E prevents that. It surrounds each cholesterol particle like a soft shell, protecting it from oxidation. So even if your cholesterol is a little high, it won't necessarily become dangerous if it's shielded by enough vitamin E. There's a famous study from Cambridge where over 2,000 heart patients were given vitamin E. The result? A 77% drop in non-fatal heart attacks. That's a number worth paying attention to. But that's not all. Vitamin E also helps keep your blood vessels flexible, so your blood flows smoothly and your heart doesn't have to work as hard. It reduces chronic inflammation too, which is one of the root causes of heart problems as we age. Here's what to look for. There are 8 forms of vitamin E found in nature. The one you've probably heard of is alpha-tocopherol, but your body needs all 8 forms to get the full benefit. That's why it's best to take a mixed tocopherol supplement, not just one kind. Most experts recommend between 200 and 400 IUs per day, and just like CoQ10, it's best absorbed with a meal that has some healthy fat. So far, we've talked about protecting your arteries, powering your heart, and shielding your cholesterol. But what about the rhythm of your heartbeat itself? That steady thump-thump that carries you through life? The next nutrient helps keep that rhythm calm, steady, and strong. Let's talk about magnesium. Magnesium, the calming mineral. Your heart can't live without. Your heart doesn't just need protection, it needs peace. A steady rhythm, a calm, confident beat, morning, noon, and night. And there's one mineral that plays a bigger role in that than most people realize. It's magnesium. Magnesium is often called the relaxation mineral, and your heart depends on it with every beat. Yet here's the surprising and frankly worrying truth. More than 80% of older adults in the US are unknowingly deficient in it. That's 4 out of 5 people. When magnesium levels are low, your heart becomes jumpy, overactive. You might notice fluttering in your chest, palpitations, irregular beats, or maybe your blood pressure creeps higher and higher, even though you're watching your salt and taking your meds. This might not be a medication problem, it might be a magnesium problem. You see, magnesium acts like a natural calcium blocker. It helps calm the electrical activity in your heart muscle. When there's too much calcium and not enough magnesium, the heart can become overstimulated. That leads to extra stress on the heart, more pressure on your arteries, and an increased risk of arrhythmia or even sudden cardiac events. And here's something most people don't hear. Many common blood pressure medications actually cause your body to lose magnesium through urine. That means the more medicine you take, the more magnesium you may be flushing out. But there's good news. Studies show that supplementing with magnesium can lower blood pressure by as much as 15 points. It also reduces the risk of sudden cardiac death by 41%. And perhaps most importantly for daily life, it helps your heart beat in a calmer, more regular rhythm. Now, not all forms of magnesium are created equal. The most effective types for heart health are magnesium citrate and magnesium glycinate. Avoid magnesium oxide, it's poorly absorbed and may cause stomach upset without giving much benefit. Start slowly with 200 to 300 milligrams a day and work your way up to 400 or even 600 if your doctor agrees. The best time to take it? Before bed. Magnesium doesn't just calm the heart, it also helps you sleep better, which your heart absolutely loves. If you've been feeling off, tired, or jittery, and haven't found the reason, magnesium might be the missing piece. And once your heart feels calm, it's time to help it stay clean. Because next, we're talking about a very special type of fat, one that scrubs your arteries from the inside and gives your heart the space to breathe again. Let's talk about omega-3s. Omega-3, the good fat that cleans your arteries from the inside. Now that your heartbeat is calm and steady, it's time to make sure your arteries stay clean and open, so every beat can do its job with ease. And to do that, we need to talk about a kind of fat, but not the kind your doctor warns you about. This is the good kind, the healing kind, the kind that could help you live years longer. I'm talking about omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3s are often called the good fat for a reason. They act like a gentle cleaning crew, scrubbing away the buildup inside your blood vessels and reducing the silent inflammation that slowly damages the heart. Unlike cholesterol medications that focus on numbers, omega-3s go deeper. They calm the fire inside your arteries, making them more flexible, more open, and more alive. There are three types of omega-3s, but the two your heart loves most are called EPA and DHA. EPA helps reduce inflammation, which is a major trigger for plaque buildup in heart disease. DHA strengthens your heart muscle and helps it keep a healthy rhythm. And the science behind this is powerful. In a massive study involving more than 40,000 people, those who regularly consumed omega-3s lived on average 2.5 years longer than those who didn't. That's not just a statistic, that's time. More years with your family, more memories, more life. Omega-3s also lower triglycerides, another type of fat in your blood that can double your risk of heart attack. They make your blood less sticky, reducing the chance of dangerous clots. And they support your brain, your joints, and even your mood. The best sources? Cold water fish like salmon, sardines, and anchovies. But unless you're eating those fish 2 to 3 times a week, chances are you're not getting enough. That's why a high-quality fish oil supplement can make a big difference. Here's what to look for. Aim for 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams per day of EPA and DHA combined. And be careful, some cheap supplements are oxidized or contain heavy metals. Look for brands that are third-party tested for purity and freshness. And always take omega-3s with food. It helps reduce that fishy aftertaste and improves absorption. If you're vegetarian or allergic to fish, don't worry. There's an excellent alternative, algae oil, which provides plant-based DHA and EPA directly from the same source fish get theirs. Omega-3s may be fat, but they're the kind of fat your heart will thank you for every single day. And now that your arteries are cleaner, it's time to make sure your heart has the fuel it needs to turn sugar into energy. Because next we're going to talk about one of the most overlooked vitamins, especially for seniors, and how a simple deficiency could be silently making your heart weaker. Let's talk about vitamin B1. Vitamin B1, the forgotten fuel that keeps your heart beating strong. Now that your arteries are flowing freely, let's focus on the heart's engine again. Because a clean road means nothing if your engine is running on fumes. And there's one vitamin that quietly powers your heart with every beat. Yet most people have never even thought about it. That's vitamin B1, also called thiamine. Vitamin B1 is like gasoline for your heart. It helps your cells convert food, especially sugar, into energy. Without it, your heart simply can't pump as efficiently. It starts to slow down. It gets weaker. And here's the alarming part. Many older adults are low in B1 without even knowing it. The signs can be easy to miss. Fatigue that doesn't go away, shortness of breath, swelling in the ankles, or a heart that just doesn't seem to recover after walking or climbing stairs. These symptoms are often blamed on age, but in many cases, they're tied to a silent B1 deficiency. There's even a condition called cardiac beriberi, where the heart becomes enlarged, weak, and inefficient because it's not getting enough thiamine. It sounds like something from a textbook, but for seniors, especially those taking certain medications like diuretics, water pills, it's surprisingly common. You see those water pills that help reduce swelling and blood pressure? They also flush out thiamine. The longer you take them, the more depleted you may become, and the heart begins to pay the price. But here's the good news. This is a fixable problem. Studies show that supplementing with vitamin B1 can improve heart function in just 2 weeks. Patients with heart failure who took 100 milligrams a day showed clearer breathing, more energy, and stronger heartbeat performance. Food sources like sunflower seeds, black beans, and lean pork are great. But to get therapeutic levels, a supplement is usually necessary. Look for the benfotiamine form of B1, which is better absorbed, especially in older adults. A common dose is between 50 to 200 milligrams a day, depending on your needs. And here's a simple tip. Always take vitamin B1 with other B-complex vitamins. They work better as a team. It's easy to overlook the basics. But sometimes the quietest nutrients make the loudest impact. When your heart has the fuel it needs, it can do what it was built to do. Keep you moving, living, and enjoying life. But energy isn't enough without balance. The next vitamin helps regulate your heart's rhythm like a skilled conductor, making sure your beats stay steady, smooth, and in sync. Let's explore the magic of vitamin B6. Vitamin B6, the silent conductor that keeps your heart in rhythm. Now that your heart has the fuel it needs to generate energy, it also needs something else, rhythm, a steady beat, not too fast, not too slow, just calm, consistent, life-giving rhythm. And the vitamin that helps make that happen is vitamin B6. Think of vitamin B6 as the silent conductor of your heart's orchestra. It helps regulate how fast or slow your heart beats. But that's only part of the story. One of the most dangerous threats to heart health isn't cholesterol or sugar. It's a little-known amino acid called homocysteine. When levels of homocysteine get too high, it begins to damage the walls of your arteries from the inside out, making them more likely to harden, crack, and collect plaque. Vitamin B6, working together with other B vitamins, breaks down homocysteine into harmless substances, protecting your blood vessels and keeping your heart's inner environment clean and safe. In fact, people with adequate B6 levels have been shown to have up to 30% lower risk of heart disease. But there's more. Vitamin B6 is also needed to build healthy red blood cells which carry oxygen from your lungs to your heart and the rest of your body. When your red blood cells aren't working right, your heart has to work twice as hard just to keep up. That leads to fatigue, shortness of breath, and a heart that's constantly under pressure. Many older adults, especially postmenopausal women, are unknowingly deficient in B6. That's because hormonal changes increase the body's demand for this nutrient. And over time, that silent deficiency can show up as irregular heartbeats, trouble sleeping, or even mood changes. The good news? B6 is easy to restore. Foods like salmon, chicken, bananas, and potatoes are great sources. But for heart protection, most experts recommend a supplement in the range of 25 to 100 milligrams per day. Just be careful not to overdo it. Very high doses over time can affect nerve function, Stick within safe limits, and you'll get all the benefits without any of the risks. Vitamin B6 doesn't shout. It doesn't get much attention. But without it, your heart's rhythm can lose its balance, and everything starts to feel just a little off. Now that we've covered energy, fuel, protection, and rhythm, it's time for the most powerful discovery of all. A vitamin duo that works in perfect harmony to protect your arteries and your bones, and could literally add years to your life. Let's talk about vitamin D3 and K2. Vitamin D3 plus K2, the duo that can add a decade to your heart's life. We've talked about energy, rhythm, protection, and flow. But now it's time for what may be the most powerful discovery of all. A duo so effective that some researchers believe it can add a full decade of healthy life to your heart. I'm talking about vitamin D3 and vitamin K2, a pair that works better together than either one can alone. You've probably heard of vitamin D3. It's known as the sunshine vitamin, and yes, it helps with your bones and immune system. But what many people don't realize is that D3 also controls over 3,000 genes, including some that regulate blood pressure and heart function. People with low levels of D3 are twice as likely to have a heart attack, and they often don't even know they're deficient. But here's where it gets surprising. Taking D3 alone, especially in high doses, can actually backfire if you're not also getting enough vitamin K2. Why? Because D3 increases calcium absorption. That sounds great, but without K2 to direct the calcium where it belongs, it can start to build up in your arteries, leading to dangerous calcification. In other words, your arteries can literally turn stiff and hard, putting you at greater risk for heart attack and stroke. That's where vitamin K2 comes in. K2 acts like a traffic cop for calcium, guiding it away from your arteries and toward your bones and teeth, where it's needed. Without K2, calcium becomes a wanderer. With K2, it knows exactly where to go. In one Dutch study of over 4,000 people, those with higher K2 levels had 57% less arterial calcification and 50% lower risk of death from heart disease. That's an astonishing difference from just one missing piece of the puzzle. Unfortunately, K2 is hard to get from diet alone, unless you regularly eat fermented foods like natto, which most Americans don't. That's why supplementation is so important, especially when you're taking vitamin D3. So what's the ideal combo? Most heart health experts recommend 2,000 IU of D3 paired with 100 micrograms of K2 in the MK7 form. And like many of the nutrients we've discussed, this duo should be taken with a meal that includes some healthy fat for better absorption. The magic of D3 and K2 is that they don't just protect your heart, they empower your whole body to work smarter, not harder. They strengthen your bones. They keep your arteries flexible. They lower your blood pressure. And they do it quietly, steadily, every day. Just like your heart has been doing for you all your life. So now that you've discovered all 8 of these heart-saving nutrients, there's one last step, deciding how to use this knowledge to care for the most faithful organ in your body. Let's wrap this up and give your heart the gratitude it truly deserves. Have you felt more tired than usual lately? Like climbing stairs takes more effort than it used to? Maybe your heart starts racing when you're just sitting still. You might tell yourself it's just aging, just another day of getting older. But what if your heart is trying to tell you something? What if that shortness of breath, that chest pressure, that sense of fatigue isn't normal at all? You see, after age 60, our heart doesn't just age. It gets quieter, and sometimes we miss its silent warnings. And by the time those warnings turn into real danger, it might already be too late. But here's the hopeful truth. Science now shows there are natural, powerful ways to protect your heart and even add 10 to 15 more years of strong, steady beats. These aren't miracle cures or trendy supplements. These are real, evidence-backed vitamins that some cardiologists quietly take themselves, but never talk about in the exam room. Today, we're going to walk through the 8 vitamins that could be the turning point for your heart health. Vitamins that can lower your risk of heart attack, smooth out your heartbeat, and give your heart the strength it deserves. If you're someone who cares about living with energy and independence in your later years, this message is for you. So stay with me, Because the last vitamin on this list might be the one thing your heart has been missing for decades. And if you find this helpful, I'd be honored if you follow this channel. Here, we talk about real heart health for real seniors. No fluff, no scare tactics, just facts, tools, and encouragement. Let's take care of your heart together. Now let's begin with the very first vitamin, one that's probably sitting in your kitchen right now, but you've never seen it this way before.